How can you make your LinkedIn account more engaging? What opportunities are there for you if you have many engagements? Being most comfortable with yourself is important. People will relate to people who show up as themselves. They relate to you more naturally when you are most comfortable, which is what we aim to accomplish through LinkedIn. Being genuine is the only way to generate empathy and relatability from the audience, which is lacking in today's society. In this episode of the Dominate Your Market podcast, we have Tasleem Ahmad Fateh, a LinkedIn personal branding expert. He studied the psychology behind good content and design strategies for his clients to create effective, engaging, and high-converting content. Tasleem will talk about how to appear authentic on LinkedIn, connect to your audience by being yourself, and what you can do to increase your engagement on LinkedIn.
Welcome to the Dominate Your Market podcast, where we interview leaders, CEOs, founders, and high-impact business development professionals to get their insights on how you can grow your business efficiently, build an amazing company, and still have a life. Today's guest is Taz Fateh, who is a LinkedIn personal branding expert and a content nerd. He said that, not me. He's an amazing dude. He studies the psychology behind good content and designs strategies for his clients to create effective, engaging, and high-converting content. His own LinkedIn profile averages 1,000 likes and 500 plus comments per post, which is crazy engagement. Taz, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Michael. Thank you.
You are, you're an inspiration to me. You know, I kind of went all in on LinkedIn probably about 6 months ago, and I came across you and I'm like, who the hell is this dude? And just, you know, I have to say, I said this, I think, in a comment on one of your posts. You are so authentic, so humble, so vulnerable, but still have that confidence because you're very good at what you do. I think your own profile is so refreshing. I'm really building you up here, by the way. But your
yeah,
profile,
I know.
It's so refreshing, you know, that because there's a lot of people that, and you know I'm not going to call out names, but, you know, competing against each other and calling each other out and that gaming stuff. And I can see you're very consistent. You don't play into that.
So I try to stay away from that. But I'm it's not like I'm some sort of a special person that's come to a point where he's so authentic or and vulnerable and open. I went through a sort of an evolution with my personal brand as well. I used to be a corporate employee. I used to work for a multi-billion-dollar company owned by the Singaporean fund, the Singaporean sovereign fund. And so I've worked in a place where your authenticity and your expression and creativity is sort of stifled or stopped. And so I had that expression through on my LinkedIn profile from when I started it, because I started it, I think, about 3 years ago. Wow. And I posted with that expression for about 2 years, but it didn't get me any results. It didn't get me anything. And so I went through this sort of transformation where I realized that it is true what people say, that people will relate to people who show up as themselves. And so I then went through a phase early this year in about April, May, where I actually put out a post where I changed my profile picture because it used to be me in a suit, nice haircut.
I can't picture that.
Yeah, that post is still there. So when I stopped posting because my corporate persona wasn't working, and the reason it wasn't working was because that wasn't who I really was. I was just trying to be someone. Like, if we were talking two years ago, I would rock up in a suit. But that's not when I feel the most comfortable, the most authentic. So I then publicly announced, at that time, I didn't have that much attention. So it got like maybe 50, 60 likes and a couple of thousand views. But that was still a lot because I was publicly coming out saying, look, I'm not this guy that wears a suit all the time and tries to act like, you know, he's looking after big clients and big contracts, even though I was, but that's not where I found my creativity. And so I made a picture saying, this is how it was going in a suit. And then this is how it's going now, me in a hoodie. And everyone commented saying, look, your smile is so much more genuine when you're wearing a hoodie and you're comfortable just being yourself. And so that was sort of the genesis of this new personal brand that I built. And in 6 months, it's going insane, for the lack of a better word. I'm at, like, I just got another 1,000 followers just yesterday. I don't even know how that.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Wow.
I don't even know how this is happening. I mean, I do know, but it's incredible and incredibly humbling.
Well, it's cool to watch you because, and I have to ask a question because I think there's a lot of people leaving the corporate world right now. So I'm going to twist something right now. I'm ready. I'm looking at my notes to ask some questions, but you just said something, and I kind of went through that too, by the way. I had a post, and I think it might still be in my featured section, maybe not, but in a suit or a sport coat and no tie. I don't believe it. No ties. No tie.
Same. I never wore a tie.
No tie. But I thought, that's not me. That truly, and I had that on my LinkedIn forever. And then I started putting some edgier pictures of me on there, a denim shirt, just chilling out, and I thought, just like you, I felt so much more comfortable. But not to talk about me. How about, what would you say to people, the corporate exodus, everybody, and everybody's turning into a coach. Everybody is a consultant of some sort, and that's what I do. So my competition has gone through the roof, which I don't really care. But what would you say to these people that they all have LinkedIn, right? But probably very similar to you and what I had, probably a pretty stuffy corporate look. Give some tips to what would they do? Probably exactly what you just said, to be honest with you, right?
Yeah. So it's if someone has, I just want to acknowledge that some people actually live life like that, and they're in real life interactions are very corporate, are very stiff, and it could be because of decades of having to go through that system, and then that's where they feel the most comfortable. For people that feel the most comfortable in that persona, should stick with that, because at the end of the day, it's about being the most comfortable. Because when you're the most comfortable, people resonate with you at an organic level, which is what we're trying to generate through LinkedIn. And so it doesn't matter what you're doing, because you could, for example, Elon Musk is just an example. He runs billions of dollars of companies and businesses and has massive government contracts that could be taken away by saying a single word wrong. But he still comes out and says what he wants to, because that's how he feels comfortable. Now, maybe Elon Musk is not such a relatable example, but we have examples all across us. But if you think that you can perform and talk the most authentically in a suit, then there's nothing wrong with a suit. Like, I love wearing a suit, but it's just not where I shine. And so I picked whatever's most suitable for me, and I think everyone should do the same, whether they're B2B or B2C or anything, because that's how you can actually generate empathy and relatability with the audience, by being authentic, because that's something that lacks in today's society.
Right. Yeah. Well, how about this then too? So let's say they decide on what they're going to wear, right, for their profile picture. Now, what about that transition for they're leaving the corporate world, where they probably had to talk very conservatively and really, not be themselves, probably, to now all of a sudden freedom. Now it's like, whoa, okay, what do I talk about? Give some suggestions on that for anybody that all of a sudden has the handcuffs removed, and maybe they don't really know how to go about, how do I do this LinkedIn thing? I'm free, right?
Yeah. So everyone, all the coaches that I talked to when I was starting gave me the worst advice, which was find a niche and talk about that. And I think that that's just going from one prison to another prison. The prison of corporate, the whole corporate demeanor, into, oh, now I'm doing this. So what I suggest people do is that when you break free of that prison, try to explore. Talk about whatever you feel like talking about. And that's the great thing about LinkedIn right now, is that you can literally talk about anything.
Yeah.
And there will be an audience for it, because there's 860 million plus people on it. So I always say, don't just niche down and be like, okay, now this is what I need to do. Because a lot of people do it because others are doing it. They say, okay, this is the best way. They say if you don't talk to someone specific, you don't talk to anyone, which is true. You have to be specific, especially if you're selling. However, when you're trying to find your way in your shoes, the best thing you should do is talk about whatever comes naturally. So that's exactly what I did. I didn't start off by optimizing my entire profile and saying, I am a LinkedIn expert. I've actually never called myself that. I call myself a LinkedIn student because I'm still learning, because every day there's something new to learn. But I didn't do that. What I did instead was I sat down. I had a bit of a thinking process, and I figured out that my strength throughout my entire career has been my skill to analyze. And so analysis is something where I thrive. Now, we all have our own strengths. So pick your strength and then speak in regards to your strength. So what I did when I started off was, because I was really just sitting all day and trying to analyze what other people are doing on LinkedIn. And so one of my friends, my best friend, he goes, because we were just there at his house and I was just sitting there looking at LinkedIn profiles, and he goes, mate, why do you keep talking to me about LinkedIn profiles? Like, I really don't care. Why don't you go talk to the people on LinkedIn? Because clearly that's something that you're so passionate about and you're organically speaking about it. So that was an epiphany, because I was like, yeah, I could do that. I could do that even if I don't get paid for it. So find whatever you can do that you won't get paid for it. Like, I'm 100% sure, even if you get paid $0, you will still talk about what you're talking about. And that's because I can sense that passion in you. And that passion is what makes people connect. So talk about that. And if you take 3-6 months to find out that topic, because not everyone knows instantly, I didn't know, that's fine. 3-6 months is nothing in the scale of the larger timeline. So start with finding your voice. Maybe you don't even want to sell something. Maybe you just want to become a creator, and maybe you want to let that creative spirit flourish. Maybe you don't want to sell a course or become a coach. Maybe you just want to find other job opportunities, and all of that is valid. But all of that is predicated on the fact that you need to find your voice, and then wherever that takes you, go, because that's where you'll thrive. So that I have a reverse process, and I can tell you, in about a year's time, people might start talking about this, because I'm going to put that course out which walks you through it.
I can't wait for that thing. Oh my God, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's how I think about it. I don't go pick a niche, because that's too narrowing.
You know, that's interesting, because for me, and I don't know if you remember some of my posts, but I'm big on fitness, right? Ex-athlete, you know, all these things, and it's part of my soul. Like, fitness is part of my soul, right? And so I have this inkling to talk about it a fair bit. And now I know you're in Australia, right?
Yes.
So in the US, we're one of the heavier countries in the world, right?
Too much Maccas.
Yeah, well, yeah. So
Yeah.
people really don't want to hear about fitness too much. So I do it. I pull it out once every couple of weeks, maybe. Oh, I did a 40-mile bike ride on Sunday. What are you guys doing? Whatever. But I do kind of pull back on that. But I do agree with you that you have to kind of find what you're passionate about. And it could, for a lady, it could be, I love cross stitching. Great, awesome. Start talking about cross stitching, right? Or
Absolutely.
knitting or whatever. So I think that's a great tip, because I think a lot of people are frozen with, I'm free, what do I do? And so you just said, and another thing you said that was really good, give it a little bit of time. Don't put the pressure on yourself, give it 3 or 6 months to really feel yourself out. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, and a funny thing you mentioned fitness, because when I was so I had a corporate job, and then I got out of it and I started a bubble tea business. And
I want
was
to talk about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was super lucky that I started, being obviously sarcastic here. I was super lucky that I started a bubble tea retail business in the middle of the pandemic. And so,
crazy.
And so when Australia shut down, obviously that did not work out. And so I was now looking to pivot towards LinkedIn, because for the past couple of years, I've been wanting to post on it and I enjoyed it. But I didn't focus on it 100% because I had all these other things. So the first thing that I wanted to do was exactly that, fitness, because I'm a fitness freak too. I fasted multiple days, so I'm into
Multiple days. Woo, baby.
yeah, I'm into longevity and
Yep.
eating less and taking care of your body. That's what I wanted to talk about. But obviously, you when you talk about things, you realize that what you are doing or what you're thinking is your passion might not exactly be your passion. It might you just have to go and discover. So then when I started talking, like I said, I discovered that analysis was the passion, and that the reason I liked fitness was also because I used to analyze fitness strategies and different ways of how fitness can help you improve. So again, give yourself time, because you don't know, especially if and fitness reminds me, because my brain goes from one place to another really quick.
Same here.
I saw I saw your picture at your 59th birthday, and that's just, I don't know how you're so fit. Like, God bless you, that's amazing.
I appreciate that.
I'm not half your age and I'm not that fit, so so you really obviously into your fitness. But back to the point, so let yourself discover and explore, because especially if you're in your 20s 30s, you have no clue what you like or want to do.
No.
And don't try to think that you do. This is another problem I see on LinkedIn, is that 19-year-olds coming up and saying, all I want to do is become a digital creator. And because there's so many people that are doing YouTube and courses, and so you think that's the way to success. So don't let an idea have you. I think it was I forgot who it was, but it was a very famous philosopher who said, people don't have ideas, ideas have people. And so in the
Oof,
sort of, yeah, I know, in a
that's
sort of way,
awesome.
that there's ideas that go in the mainstream, and then people fall slave to it because of social pressure. So if I see 10 YouTubers making $10 million, I'm going to be like, that's the dream I want to follow. But a little bit of reflection and then
Yeah.
action will make you realize that maybe you don't want to sit and edit videos all day, and maybe that's not what you want to do. Maybe you are more of a fitness person or a nutrition person or whatever you want to do. So don't tell yourself from the get-go that this is what my LinkedIn is going to be about. Let it take its form.
That's awesome. Talking about fitness, I want to bring up that health scare that you had a little while ago. And you took and again, I got to tell you, pictures in the hospitals and all that stuff that you did. I mean, you sucked people in, right? I mean, it really, because it's like, whoa, shit, what's wrong with him? What happened? And that's that sort of reality TV kind of thing. And anybody that knows you, and I knew you kind of online, I'm like, God, I hope he's okay. Like, I really got genuinely concerned. So here's what I want to talk about. Tell the audience what happened. And then I want to know, did it have an impact on your life moving forward after that? Did anything change mindset wise after that? So talk about those two things.
Yeah. So I think it was the 1st of September, but I went to the doctor because there was some discomfort around my spine. Excuse me, sorry. So
No, you're good.
I basically went to my GP, and she thought that I just had an abscess in my back, and so she basically did an incision and drainage. Long story short, I ended up with sort of a honeycombed cyst around my spine. And before that, I was 100% fit. Like, I could do laps of the pool. I was deadlifting hundreds of kilos. I was fit, going to the gym every day, because that's like we spoke, fitness was my life. And so the first surgeon sort of didn't actually, or wasn't able to extract the entire cyst out, because it was around the spine in a way where it's a very delicate place. Like, if you cut something wrong there, you can paralyze. But yeah, and so I was sort of bedridden for about 2 months, and so I went from being completely 100% fit to not being able to lie down on my back, and like, I have neck issues now because I haven't been able to lay down on my back for 2 months, and I'm
Oh
not
my
even
gosh.
30. So, so,
Wow.
and I never had surgery before this. Like I was never put under. I didn't know what that was like. So when I was there at the hospital, I, I was going through a major mindset change. And the good thing was, because I'm also a deeply religious person, is that I was also very grateful for the pain that was coming. And on the point of the pain, I basically had to, once they did the surgery, because they didn't know if it had been cleared up properly, they had to keep the wound open, which was about a 2-inch hole going into my spine. So when a wound is open, you have to pack it with gauze. So I had to go to the doctor every day, and they had to pack it, and it was basically excruciating pain every day for 2 months. And before that, I was, like I said, I was living a very, very
Crazy.
comfortable life, no pain. And so that pain made me really focus in on, okay, what do I want to do? And what do I want to do with my time? And what do I want to do with my health? And so the biggest realization I had is that, number one, I'm not going to stay fit as a fiddle for forever. Eventually, even if you don't get any disease, you're going to wither away, because that's how the world works.
Yep.
And so it really made me grateful about time. And it really put into perspective a lot of things that are offline, like, family and all those things. Because at the end of the day, LinkedIn is a tool. It's not the entirety of who I am. And so when a painful event happens, it brings you in towards, it brings the other things in focus. So it was more of an external epiphany, but it was very painful. The post that you were talking about is something that I thought about for a very long time, because when I was going through that period, before that, I was posting consistently for about.
Yeah, you just disappeared. I was like, whoa, where'd he go?
And then I just disappeared because I was literally on codeine and tapentadol the whole day. So I wasn't able to write anything because all day I was asleep, like drugged up. So
Crazy.
So then when I did find a little bit of space, I had that picture that my wife took. And she basically took that picture to send to my family. I never took that picture thinking I'm going to post on LinkedIn, because that was the last thing on my brain. I wasn't thinking I'm going to post on LinkedIn. But she took that picture. I had that picture and I hadn't posted in a while. So I have a theory of how you should present your personal brand. And again, that's covered in the course, which is free. But
crazy. Wow.
I'll give you the gist of the theory. The gist of the theory is that we all have persona wavelengths, and I'll try to explain. What that means is, you need to understand that LinkedIn is a tool, and when you use a tool to project your personality, you cannot project your entire personality. And the reason for that is because the only medium where you can present your entire personality is reality. You cannot do it on Instagram, you cannot do it on TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Sure, video might be better than text. Pictures might be better than text, because more elements of your personality are projected. However, you need to be okay with the fact that you will never be able to present 100% of your personality.
I can vouch for that, boy, oh boy.
That's the biggest struggle people have, because they get so caught up in the fact that thinking, this post is not me. I would never make a post like that. When in reality, you have to realize no post is you, or no post is completely 100% you. A post is a tool you use to project your personality. Now, most people don't realize that. So what most people do is that they're so scared to show one part of the personality that they keep projecting the opposite of that all the time. I'll give you an example. People that are afraid to show that they're confrontational, or they've had issues with being confrontational, will put out posts all day talking about how nice they are with people. And this, like, we see this all the time. If you see a 6 posts from me in a week, where in all 6 of them I'm only talking about how nice and happy I am, you will automatically and intrinsically see. I didn't even finish my sentence and you're nodding your head because you know that that's not how humans work. A human being is never happy 100% of the time. It's not possible. Sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're sad, sometimes we're motivational, sometimes we're demotivational, sometimes we're healthy, sometimes we're not. Now, the problem happens when you only talk about one thing. So, for example, if I'm a fitness person or a LinkedIn person and I only talk about how good my health is all the time and I've never had a disease, no one is going to be able to relate to me. Or if I'm a motivational person and I only talk about motivation and you give it 100% every day, it's positive, 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 people are going to automatically be repulsed because we all know intuitively that human beings are balanced creatures. They have both. So I realized an opportunity in the sense that I said, I've never made a post talking about going through a health scare. And the reason for that was because I was in excellent health. So I didn't have a reason. Like, I'm not going to put up a post in a hospital if that's not happening. So, and I hadn't posted in a while. So I knew that the post was going to blow up because by now I have a complete, like, I wouldn't say complete, I'm not trying to brag, but I understand when a post is going to blow up and when not. And a big reason in that is if you keep talking about one thing. And so, for example, I had a lot of positive talk, but I hadn't talked about the challenge as much. And I was aware of that because I want to use the tool LinkedIn to present both sides. So I was like, okay, I can talk about this and I can give out the good message that I've learned, which was that health is wealth. And then no amount of money is going to fix bad health.
Yep.
Like at that time, I would have given every single last dollar of mine to just get out of that hospital bed. So I wrote that post because I knew that it would counter what I've been talking and complete my personality in the minds of people. And this is exactly why when people saw that, they could relate with me a lot more because they're like, okay, this guy there, he's here all the time.
He's human.
He's human. Exactly. He's human. And so that's why it blew up. It got a couple of million views.
Crazy.
I think it's like 20,000 plus likes. But yeah, that was the strategy behind it and the thinking. Yeah.
That's super cool. I want to turn a little bit on this. So if a CEO is listening, why should a CEO, let's say a blue collar CEO, why should he give a crap about LinkedIn?
The biggest reason he should give a crap about
he
LinkedIn,
or she, by the way, he or
sure,
she.
yeah, he, she, whatever it is. The reason that they should is because if they don't and their competitors do, then they're out of business zone. And so sometimes in life, as we know, and especially in war, which is an analogy that I keep talking about that really matches business because that's what it is.
Yep.
It's a 24/7 sport. When you're asleep, other people, your competitors are still playing. So if you are going to sleep on this, but John from across the street starts putting out content, starts getting hundreds of millions of views, or even hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands, then he or she automatically has that advantage over you that you're not going to be able to compete against. The field has been changed. The playing field is different. So you need to change. If you don't, you're going to be the dinosaur. So it's not a matter of whether you want to. The time is now where you need to. And the reason you need to is because if you don't, your competitors will. So if that doesn't drive you and if that doesn't motivate you, then maybe you do want your business to not succeed.
Well, it's interesting. Okay, so what about this? So let's say they go, okay, fine, you got me. But what if they say, I'm a CEO of a 300 employee company. I'm too busy. I can't post on LinkedIn. What would so let's say you got a client sitting in front of you. He's a CEO. He's got 300 employees out in his building, and he tells you, Taz, I don't have the time to post on LinkedIn. What would you say to that?
Yeah. So every time I speak to someone that has more than 10 employees and they try to give me this excuse, I tell them, if you have 300 employees and you don't have time, then I'm sorry to say you're not managing those 300 employees in the way you should be. Okay. Because if someone that has 3 employees uses that excuse, I would understand. They don't have the resources to delegate their life. Someone that has 300 employees has the resources financially, in terms of manpower, in terms of systems. Obviously, you need systems for 300 to manage 300 people. They have no excuse because they have all of that. So you are in a larger position, number one, in terms of resources to be able to capitalize on the opportunity, and number two, in terms of opportunity cost. Because if I have 3 employees and I don't go on this, then sure, I might have to sack my 3 employees, and that might be the end of it. But if you as a leader of 300 people are not taking care of or not cashing in on this opportunity, there's only you to blame. And it's okay if you don't want to. John from across the street, who has 200 employees, will find one person in there that can free him up for half an hour a week, and they will hire someone like me or someone else who can amplify their voice and present them in the right way and create that brand for them, that in 2 years' time, when it comes 2025, they're going to be able to have influence like none other. And so it's an investment that you have to make. And if you don't, especially you have 300 employees, you have no excuse.
I love it. But wait, you just said something that's kind of interesting too. So there's a lot of, so do you ghostwrite? Is that part of your services, ghostwriting?
So I haven't said this anywhere before, but I am about to launch an agency after this course.
Yes.
So it will be early 2023. I have 5 select clients who I write for at the moment, because I don't have capacity for more. And so I'm not taking on any more, but I do have people that are interested. But I want to systemize. I'm in the process of systemizing my process and then get putting it in an agency format so I can scale it. So yes, I will be doing a lot of that. I don't like the word ghostwrite because I'm not a writer. I'm more of a person that will help you find your voice and has understanding of the platform so that you can amplify your voice. So yeah.
Okay, well, that's exciting. And so this was the first time you've ever announced that?
No, I haven't announced any. I haven't told anyone.
This is the first place, right here, now.
Yes, right here, right now. That I'll be launching an agency.
Awesome.
I've got a few names shortlisted, so yeah, you will be able to.
That's awesome.
You'll be able to get full access to my brain.
That's well. Let me ask you this. So some people, there are all these ghostwriters out there now, right? And we know a couple of names. I know a couple of names. We know some of these names. We're not going to promote them on this podcast, but now what? If a CEO says, you know what, can somebody do this for me? How do you feel about that? Like full blown, get one of these ghostwriters that are good. What do you think about that? Okay,
so I think that's what a CEO should do. And the reason is because, again, a CEO's time that employs 300 people is very expensive, and they're aware of that more than anyone else. So just the same way that they have a personal assistant or an executive assistant and they have an accountant, they don't sit and go through their books. They have managers, general managers, they have an entire structures because they need to scale their process. They do need a ghostwriter or but what I would say is there's a lot of ghostwriters out there, and there's a lot of great ghostwriters. I'm friends with some that are extremely awesome. But you should probably go to someone, especially if you're a CEO, that can not only write for you, but understand your business. And so with that, because that's the major part. You don't want someone that misrepresents you, because it's the ghostwriting process is very crucial. So you're better off paying a little bit more money and going to someone that is going to design an entire brand strategy for you, and then replicate your voice in a much better way than a ghostwriter. And a lot of ghostwriters can do it, but writers are mainly writers. They use techniques to make the writing better. But sometimes you don't need to focus on the technique so much. You need to focus on the message, because again, when I talk to people, sometimes when I write for them, the biggest thing is I have to tell them, you are not me and I'm not you. And so if you, Michael, are the CEO of a 300-person company, your writing needs to be very different from Taz, because Taz is a completely different person. Taz is this bold person who likes taking bold opinions, is very disagreeable. Let him be himself. So you need to go through an entire process where we distill your personality, your tone, your message, your aims, and then we project that. So it's a very smart decision to actually go to someone else than to try to do it yourself.
I think the key would be that the CEO probably his or her biggest concern would be not, I would assume that the CEO would have final write-off or sign-off on posting or whatever, because if the ghostwriter wrote something that was not appropriate or whatever, that should not have been said, that could be even legal, could be legally damaging, right?
Of course.
So
Yeah.
now you're in a situation where that's a CEO might go, I'm not having it right for me. I mean, they could screw me over, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So so if I write for a CEO, I'm not posting that until they eyeball it, because again, like I said, a person that's running a 300-person company has a lot of nuances that they have to look at before they put a message out in the open. And so I have a process, basically just a reviewing process where they review it, and that takes a minute. And then, we get feedback back on it. But yeah, you would not have anyone, if someone says, oh, I'm going to just post based on what I feel is good, that's not the person you need to hire.
No. Here's one, we're winding down, but here's a question for you. So business posting on the business page, or as the business page, or as a profile, which one would you say?
Okay, so of course I'm in the personal branding space, so I'm going to say post on your profile. That doesn't take away from the fact that business pages is still a huge opportunity. I have friends who have grown business pages into 100,000 followers in less than 6 months. Incredible. And I was talking to one of the guys that did this. His name is Chris, and he sent me all the data, and my mind was blown. I was like, that's insane. So as a smart person, again, you are running a 300-person company, you need to catch every opportunity that comes your way. So if you talk to someone that says only do one thing, don't listen to them. You need to do whatever and everything that works. Because like I said, if you don't, the other person will. Let's say I suggest to you that you should only post on your personal profile because I'm a personal branding evangelist. And then a better expert comes in and says, look, I can do this and the company pages. Obviously, that might be of a greater advantage. So you should do both. However, every medium has their own ROI. So I can say that posting on your personal page at the moment, and it depends on your situation, might have a 6x ROI, whereas posting on your company page might have a 2x ROI. And then obviously you need to put more effort into where the ROI is greater. So again, every time my job is to tell these CEOs that, listen, these are the opportunities. You're the boss, you decide, and I'll execute them for you. So yeah, take all the opportunities that are there.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're winding down here. This was amazing, but talk about this free report. So by the time this podcast airs, the report will be out because it's going out tomorrow, which is November 18th. You've talked a lot about it, and everybody's like, number one, free, what the hell, free? Are you kidding me? So talk about your free report, and then talk about how people can get it, and then any of your contact information. This is the time for I want you just to promote yourself as much as you want.
So people are confused because they're like, what's Taz doing? And that's exactly where I like them to be. The reason for that is because I sat down and I tried to figure out what's going on with the LinkedIn market in terms of growing your personal brand. And again, this applies to me. It doesn't apply, and I don't try to replicate what applies to me to other people or a CEO or whatever. But for me to grow as a personal branding expert, what I realized is that I need to give value out for free, which is not rocket science because everyone says that. That's not a revelation. However, what people don't understand is that when you actually look into what is value and what is giving it for free, and you look into the market, you'll realize that there's a threshold. The threshold is people will give free contents or posts, or maybe a lead magnet or, a document or a template. That's the ceiling at the moment of the things that people are willing to give out for free. Now, I want to go way above that ceiling. So what I did, because I truly believe that when you do give out, and you give out with the genuine spirit of helping people, you will obviously build trust at a massive scale, which is the definition of building a personal brand, is to build trust at a massive scale. Or if not the definition, then the aim.
Pretty damn good. Yeah.
So I realized, okay, everyone says give out value, but I don't want to give out value like everyone. So what I did was I did a bunch of courses trying to understand how to do LinkedIn. And it wasn't really to understand how to do LinkedIn, because I actually figured that out by myself, because no one's strategy worked for me. But I did a bunch of courses to gauge out the course market, because that's something that's a bit hot at the moment. People want to do side hustles. They want to get out of their prison, like we spoke about. But anytime they go to a person for help, they charge them $150, $200 minimum for a good quality course. So I decided, okay, well, this is probably going to take me 100, 200 hours. But if I can design something that's so exceptionally above the level that's being currently delivered, I genuinely believe that I will get a return so exceptionally above the level that people get. So it's not a charitable or a virtue signaling.
There's strategy behind it. There's strategy.
There's a deep strategy behind it.
And
the strategy is embedded at every single step. And the summary of the strategy is the same that everyone says, is give to get. So I have now basically developed a course, which is about 90 minutes. I actually have to review it before I post it in about 12 hours time. So so I have a lot to do today. It's very busy.
I so appreciate you getting on the podcast. It was, it's great.
So today, when I post it in about 12 hours time, people will have a means of going and doing a course which has no upsells. I don't want to upsell you anything. I know once you do the course, the only thing that's going to be in your mind is that Taz knows his stuff. And if I can get 100 people to think that, that's all I need. That's imagine 100 people going around thinking that you know your stuff in any field. That's priceless. And so I could have put a price tag on this course, and I could have kept marketing it and tried to make money that way. But I think that's, and I was thinking about this yesterday. What came to my mind is the analogy of a premature ejaculation, because what that is you're getting too excited too prematurely. You're trying to sell too early. What you need to do, and what I'm doing, is I'm not selling too early. I'm extending that process of building trust. And so when I put this out, and if I only need 100 people to do it, even though I have about 3,000 people that are interested in it at the moment.
This is you're gonna add zeros to that.
I'm actually kind of nervous, I'll be honest. I just started doing this a few months ago, so I'm not
crazy.
Like, I didn't go to uni for this or anything, but I am confident in what I'm putting out because I know it works. But if I can get 100 people to do this, and out of them 50 go, this was amazing for me, it helped me change my entire LinkedIn strategy, how I think, and out of those 50, 20 people talk about it, then I have 20 people marketing me for free. And that's a 20 people marketing department for a personal brand. And for me right now, so I had two avenues: sell the course for $150, $200 like everyone else, and market it, so keep pushing it to people. But what that does is subconsciously makes people go back thinking, another course. And so I reversed it, and I said, look, instead of getting my return on my investment, which is time, back in terms of money today, what I can do is I can put this out and have 20, 30 people become my evangelists. And And so that happened last night. Someone did a post last night, a very famous graphic designer lady. That post, I think, has maybe 200-300. I haven't checked it at the moment. 200-300 reactions on it, and the entire post is talking about how Taz is helping other people. And so,
wow,
that's someone with an audience. That one post yesterday put my name in front of about 30,000 people because of this time that I'm doing. And so, if I can get
crazy.
10 posts like this, I go in front of 300,000 people or 500,000 people, and that's worth $100,000 in itself. Like, that's a lot of marketing. Yeah. So I don't have the money to advertise myself to go in front of 500,000 people.
Crazy.
So how can I do it at scale? I get other people to do it. How can I get them to do it? I help them achieve what they want to achieve so they can help me achieve what I want to achieve. So I just took the money part out. I'm like, I don't really care. I don't want to be rich tomorrow. I want to be rich in 10 years. I'm in no rush. So when I took that out, it just came to me that, okay, no one's done this. And that's another differentiator, that no one has actually given out an entire product for free after they've been successful. People do it before, but no one's done it after, So I'm at the moment ranked number 2 in the world for personal branding. And the person that's number 1 sells a course. And he's been selling a course for, I think, 3 years now. He's the biggest course seller on LinkedIn. Kudos to him. He's a genius. But I think I can catch up to him in a much quicker way if I don't sell it. And if I don't sell it, so he's made, say, $3 million in 3 years. If I can get to the same level in half the time, I can then make the $2 million when I'm there by leveraging in a lot of other ways. So agency is one way, there's consulting is another way, but I do it in half the time. So I can talk about this for hours because this
but that's super. I mean, it's a very, it's strategic. Number 1, it is strategic. It's a business, but number 2, it is coming from that angle of giving. And that's really doesn't happen very often anymore, and I bought a course, a LinkedIn course. I bought in all of them, but more out of kind of just curiosity, not because I know most of I need to know about LinkedIn for the most part, but it was $29, nothing new.
Yep.
Same old, and I'm not going to mention names or whatever, but same old stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, and whatever, $29, whatever, but still, you still kind of feel a little sort of like, oh,
this is the biggest problem. So again, you can stop me whenever we run out of time because this is something I'm very passionate about.
No, I love it. I love the passion.
Course sellers sell their brand value at $29, $39, $59, $150.
Crazy.
And sure, you'll get $150, but you lose that trust because, and I'll tell you why, because look, the nature of the game is that to sell a course, you have to market it. The nature of marketing is that you have to tell the benefit. The nature of telling the benefits of something you want to sell is that you are no matter what going to exaggerate it because you want it to sell. So this is just natural. This is the biggest problem for course sellers. Now, the problem with that is that it gets people hyped up to buy it because obviously that's how no one will spend their money unless they think it's going to be immense value. When they do that, what happens is they don't get it. And then it could be $29. This is why low ticket course sellers are very popular, is because no one will come back to fight you for $29.
That's what I did.
Like,
I was like,
it's in the air. Who cares? Even $150. I think the ceiling would be at maybe $500. No one would fight and say, yeah, all right, it's done. But you have now converted a follower into someone that has a distaste for your brand. And this is exactly what happened with me, with the person that's in the number 1 position at the moment. And they're only number 1 because they've been doing this for 4 years. So don't worry, I'm coming for them. But
I love it. There we go. There we go.
So after that, and okay, now there's, again, depending on how much time we have, there's a lot of nuance into this because the smart people then have an ecosystem after you do the course So, for example, the person that's number one right now has a very smart and intentional ecosystem where people that talk about the advantages of the course are amplified by him, and given attention to. So I have so many friends who did that course and they found nothing of value, or not, they found valuable things. I mean, not to take away from someone's effort, but it wasn't the $150 worth of value. But they still wrote an amazing testimonial because they were promised that if they write a testimonial, make a video testimonial, they'll be put in front of 100,000 people. And so, yes. And so it's an entire ecosystem that then generates more sales. But the problem is it generates sales at the cost of your brand or loyalty to your brand. Sure, you might get followers. I follow the person that's in the number one position at the moment, but actually, no, I don't think I do anymore. But I don't like the person. The reason I don't like the person is because I know that the process of marketing to people's insecurities at a scale and then selling them a product that you know that they won't complain about because it's just $150. What are you going to fight someone over $150? No, you're not. And then trapping them in the ecosystem where the advantages are amplified is just a way to create people like me who are not happy with you, And so, sure, you might have $2 million, $3 million in your bank account, but you're getting that at the expense of your brand.
Yeah.
Another thing I would quickly add is that I personally think that a LinkedIn course, no matter how good you are, you could be the best in the world, is a course filled with opinion. It's not a course on physics. It's not a course on sales. It's not a course on accountancy. It's not a course on nutrition. It's not a course on, health. Because those things you have this factual information that you can pass on. Like I'm sure if I talk to you right now, Michael, about health, you could tell me some factual information about fitness that I would not get on Google. I know that as a fact.
Yeah.
The thing with LinkedIn, like backed by science and everything, But the thing with LinkedIn is that it's not like I know what the LinkedIn algorithm really is. No one does. And no expert will tell you this. The thing is, no one knows. But I have an opinion and I can pass it on. And so what it becomes is a LinkedIn course is a marketing effort, right? At the end of the day. And so I don't really think that that's something you should be selling. This is my moral standpoint. I would never sell a LinkedIn only course because it's just $200 worth of opinion, and tomorrow it will change, and it will change because it changed from two days ago. So sell anything else. So I want to disrupt this market. So I want to give all the information away for free, so that people don't have to waste time and then get that sour taste in their mouth afterwards. But
well, you said
for hours.
well, I love the passion, but you said a key word right there, disruptor. Yeah. I'm all about that, man. Like that word resonates with me. I mean, that might be another tattoo for me because I got relentless right there.
Oh, I love that.
There. But disruptor, that's pretty good. I like that. That might be a tattoo. Anyways, okay, so how do people let our listeners know? Because if they're listening on audio, they're not watching this. We'll have a webpage, by the way, with all the links and all that stuff. But how can they get the course? How do they contact you?
Yep. So you can go to my profile. You just have to look Tasleem Ahmad Fateh up on LinkedIn. It will come up. And by the end of today, so it's about midday GMT on the 18th of November, I'll have a link to the course in there.
Okay.
All you have to do is go to that link and obviously give your email, because I need an email. I need some sort of an identifier. Yeah. And it will be hosted on an external platform, and then you can literally just go in and do it for free, the whole thing. You don't have to pay anything. I'm not going to spam you with anything.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll take your email and I might send you a couple of emails. But
of course, of course.
Yeah, but that's about it. And there is no upsell, because the entire effort of the experiment is to give you the best feeling that you actually got so much value that you're like, crap, I have to now do something for Taz. And so that's the mission.
Reciprocity.
That's right. Reciprocity. Yeah. And sure, it might only work with 1% of the people, but if 1,000 people do it and 1% is still,
Crazy.
to 10 people, so that's a lot. So that's where you can get it. At my profile, there'll be a link. It'll be up after midday GMT.
Okay, anybody listening, so if they just type in TASLEEM, they'll find you. Boom, right there.
Yeah.
Tasleem.
And just so you know, I have an alien emoji in my name.
I know.
So,
I love it. I love it.
That's why I have it, because it helps people search
Identifier.
for me. That's right. Yeah.
That's
Identifier.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. God, I mean, and knowing that, you've got a lot of, things happening in the next half a day, I so appreciate you being on. You're a great guy, man. I mean, you really are. Anybody, I hope you get lots of followers from this. I'll promote it once it comes out and all of that, but you're just a great guy. It's hard in this crazy world of ours to really have authentic, and I'm connected to a lot of them on LinkedIn, by the way. So LinkedIn is an amazing platform, but your character is coming out, and it's pretty impressive. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Michael. You only see that in me because the same is within you, and so that's a scientific fact to end that right there. But thank you so much for having me and listening to me blab on about LinkedIn. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You've just listened to the Dominate Your Market podcast with CEO, business consultant, and author Michael Peterson. Growth-minded CEOs hire Michael to explode their revenues, build an amazing company, and create a transformational mindset that encapsulates growth, success, and ultimately happiness. His book, Dominate Your Market, is creating quite a stir in the marketplace. Go to dominateyourmarketbook.com and get your first chapter free.